Baby, what you wanna do tonight, my girl? What you wanna do? Baby, what you wanna do? Baby, tell me, baby, what you wanna do? Baby, what you wanna do? Tonight it's up to you. Come now, tonight I'm all yours, all yours. Tonight I'm all yours, all yours. Me not go nowhere, all yours, all yours. Let me do a something, let me do a something. Come now. You know, always on the street, always on the beat, always on the move, looking for the food. Many times I leave you, I know you alone. Enough time I fly out, can't catch you home. Sometimes you vex when I get so busy. This relationship not easy, but tonight it's just you and me. Come now, tonight I'm all yours, all yours.
Hey, welcome to episode 126 of the Corey Shepherd podcast. This is one of my favorite songs for the season. You know?
When I go nowhere, all yours,
all yours.
Let me do a something, let me do a something. Come now, alright. Come let me rock back, baby. Take a little time, my lady. Tonight is your night, my baby. Let me take a drink now. Come let me rock back, baby. Take a little time, my lady. Tonight is your night, my baby. Anything you wanna do, let me know the vibe. Baby, we could rock back, sip a little wine. If you want to jump out, we could bust a line. Gas up the car, take a little drive. If you want to cruise up by the seaside, we'll love till we knock out, till we revive. And do it again like couple 3 times. Everything fine, oh yeah. Don't study your best friend, she not afraid. Forget the old talk from family. Tonight is just you and me. Come now, tonight I'm all yours, all yours.
Welcome to everybody who's been listening. Welcome back to Warriors. Welcome, people. Welcome back to everybody who was listening. Welcome to all the new listeners. Listen, this song have a sweetness in it. Salute to Menace. Oh, M1. You can't say Menace again. M1, formerly of Three Sons, formerly named as Treason, you know what I mean? But you see this youth, he have a bad space and a groovy. You know? I have an episode to dedicate to some of the grooviest or the groovy, and I'm staying away from the pinnacles and not the big boys and them who I like to talk about. Pause. But going to some of the people who consistently give me some groovy way in the mix every year. Because I make a statement last week, right? And diving straight into the music, you know, we started with the music because done fet. People done fetting and them thing already. All well up ahead of me, all fetting. All right, I must reach a fet. Salute up front to my boy Cassius, because my boy Cassius gave me a good idea, right? And I want to ask only one time. I'm looking for contributors because I can't go too much of fet, being honest, at my age. At my ripe age. I'm not going to get to too much of fet. So Cassius had an idea where he say, listeners could call in and contribute and tell me about how the fets went. So anybody who went down in the black to blue, let me know. We could talk on the phone. You ain't bound to go through all the podcasting. I could just do a little recording on the phone and get a fet review going until I reach a fet, which looking like it could be soon. Looking like I'm my first fet soon. But it has some men who in the groovers who just have a little space. Because last week I say plenty elevator music, plenty resort music coming out. Songs are decent and thing in the mix, but they're not special, you know what I mean? They're not singing about not much, but they have a few people who have a space in a groove. Listen, when they catch you in there, that song going to rally through, and M1 is one of them people. You see that all yours tune? That song, very, very bad. But one of the men and one of the commenters last week was saying that you didn't know this fellow was from New York. Now, as a man is giving him out a lot of liberty here. I really think, to be honest with you, that Lyrical is living in New York. Me where he from? But every time I get, and I look, you have a song in it, what's the name of the song, Outsider? I'm not sure if he from here or where he originate from. But from everything I see on the social media, it look like he living out there. So don't quote me on that. But it looked like easily Lyrical are one of the biggest tunes in the early carnival so far.
You only looking normal, girl, but you know what you're doing. You know what you're doing. Tell her why you look back at it. Eye contact, I go make you feel my contact. I want you to watch your conduct. So when you start to fling that, look back.
Let me tell you something. This song is single-handedly selling fat tickets. It has so much of lines in this song were true. And you see me as a man though too. I gotta talk soft, because people home and think. Me don't like too much eye contact and thing. As a man retired, I out the game. I don't want too much eye contact. I don't want too much hold on. As a man is a move along kind of guy. When I go in fete now, I fete with my wife. My wife like she retired from the carnival, so she don't play mass again. And she ain't playing mass in no humors and no fantasies and no where else I play mass? She's only playing mass in tribe. She high diddy. So if it's not tribe, she ain't interested. But when I go on the road, I don't know that my earplugs are ready, so I could go close to the truck so I ain't gonna get deaf. And the reason I go in close to the truck is so that I can get some shade from that sun. I can't take that sun. But Lyrical put some lines in this song here. Look back on it, eye contact, I go make you feel my contact. And you know what this song, everybody line in this song, you know where you do it. It's as some of these women on the road, they know what they're doing and all, don't let it stay from a please. All they taking lyrical here, lyrical are the thing figured out. This how you do a groove.
You only looking normal, girl, but you know what you're doing. You know what you're doing. Tell her why you look back at it. Eye contact, I go make you feel my contact. I want you to watch your conduct. So when you start to fling that, look back, look at how it arch. Look back at the speed. Look back, look what you done scars. Look back, girl, you look normal, but you know what you're doing. You know what you're doing, girl, you know what you're doing. You waste for the eye contact. Father, if you send this lady, I just wanna tell you thank you, child. With that miraculous ways, me, I do not intend on leaving that. Tell her why you look back at it. Eye contact, I go make you feel my contact. I want you to watch your conduct. So when you start to fling that, look back, look at how it arch. Look back at the speed. Look back, look what you done scars. Look back, girl, you look normal, but you know what you're doing. You know what you're doing, girl, you know what you're doing.
Lord. Let me tell you something, that is power for me, at my old age. That's as powerful as I willing to get. That is my version of power soca. When I could call it groovy if all you want. You know what I mean? When you knee and thing hot in here, is that too much? It's right in a little two-step rider. What I should get into? I should get into this power soca thing up front. Become a boy Bert and my thing here with the lyrics, right? Should I get into this? Because I keep saying that Bunji, since his inception, especially since he moved from rebellious raga soca Bunji to mainstream top of the line soca artist Bunji, his soca getting a little more and more like a running argument, a running diatribe. His song very aggressive. There's a lot of words in a line. I keep telling you, soca for me and calypso for me and music in general, this lasts the longest when you write a song, you sit down and you watch the line you write, and you start to take out words out the line. But Bunji seemed to be adding more and more words in the line, right? So let's just listen to that lyrical. It are no words wasted, He said, look back on it, eye contact, I go make you feel my contact. I like songs written like that, right? If you want to go back to the old school, I always go to Sugar Boom Boom, right? But I could also go to Cockroach in She Petticoat when Kitchener say, this Grenadian woman talking she own way. Trinidad people start to mock she carnival day. The songs and them have more than 5 or 6 words in a line, She renting a room in Cohola Trace. His bugs and cockroaches all over the place. Ay, 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 ay. The Grenadian shout. Up came the landlord, madam. What this noise about? It is so simple and listen, with very few words, the man give you all the lyrics that you need in the song to tell a complete story. I find that is the genius behind songwriting, but some people they just don't tell me old and I only like old music and it's a if it's not that, apparently I'm not interested in it. But I wanna take a little quick minute and do a little lyric breakdown of a Bunji Garland song here. This is only because of my boy Bert, Bert is my boy, and when Bert tell me something again, it's just like mommy asked me for something last week. But is a man who listen to every episode and he don't wild me. So whenever he wild me, I answer the call, right? So when you're talking about biggest songs in the carnival, this No Small Fete is one of the biggest songs, right? and let me tell you something. I'm on record as saying, if you write a song, to all songwriters and everybody who interested in music, if you write a song and you find yourself having a word like isosceles in the song, maybe you should try and rewrite that song, right? But I'm going to go through the lyrics for you, right? The man say, best late entry of the century. That's not about, yo. He say, I'm not going to small fete. Let me extend my apologies. All right. I like that, you know. It's simple. I mean, it's sounding like plenty words, but it's not going to small fete. Let me extend my apologies. Only big fete with big flag going overhead like canopy. Rag in my back pocket with a white vest, sneakers, and wallaby. All right, okay, that line hard. Rag in my pocket. All right, that line hard. Rag in my pocket with a white vest, sneakers, and wallabies. Knife tips and tight pants. I never really rate none of these. I come from Brass Festival and Customs and Flour Mills. Wassa Fete, Fire Fete, and licensing, and them at a power pill. You know what he should have said? I come from Brass Festival and Customs and Flour Mills. Wassa Fete for fire and licensing and over the hill. Instead of over the power pill. Anyway. Everybody going nice and groovy, Bunji only pushing power. Still, if it's me alone, leave me up on a power hill. Anyhow, you see something here. You could critique lyrics and think how much ever you want, right? And you could say wherever. Let me say me, because nobody else is critiquing these lyrics as much as me. And I want to go to the second verse. All I know is pace. Fed does rough like sea. Going all night, no going home before 3. When one fed done, we start a Soca spree. So it go with we. We don't ask wine with no question mark. We take wine with apostrophes. What the hell that mean? What that mean? Get girl with more lyrical content than Socrates. If you get maybe. She could shape like a triangle, whether cosine or isosceles. Anything different, well, that is blasphemy. Now, again, you could talk about a song and you could play like you're critiquing a song, or you could listen to a song.
Best late entry of the century. Braga. Yo. I'm not going no small fete. Let me extend my apologies. Only big fete with big flag going overhead like canopy. Rag in my back pocket with a white vest, sneakers and wallabies. Knife tips and tight pants. I never really rate none of these. I come from Brass Festival and from Customs and from Flour Mills. Was a fete, fire fete and licensing fete, and them had a power pill. Everybody gone nice and groovy, Bunji, you're pushing power still. If it's me, you don't leave me with power on a hill. I ain't come here for no stand up. I come to party with my hand up. So all soca people, put your 2 hand in the air. Your 2 hand in the air. Your 2 hand in the air. I never come here for no stand up. I come to party with my hand up. All soca people, put your 2 hand in the air.
Here my partner.
All soca lovers do this. Show me your hand. 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 Show me your whoa. All I know is pace. Fetters rough like sea. Going out all night, no go home before 3. When one fete done, we start a soca spray. So it go with way.
No.
We no ask why, we no question mark. We take wine with apostrophes. Get girl with more lyrical content than Socrates. She could have shaped like a triangle with a cosine of isosceles. Any other thing different, when that is blasphemy.
Hey, let me tell you something. Big songs is big songs. Don't get too warm, man. This is a podcast, this is not a DJ set, you know what I mean? But I just had to acknowledge this, because no matter what, I could try to say what I want about this song. And it's happened all the time, you know. Because when you listen to these songs, right, for me, this is me personally, every time I hear one of Bunji songs, I just be like, why you had to say this? Why you had to say in a song, I sang when esophagus, and get a dictionary and look for your esophagus. It's like, why that necessary? I doesn't understand. But let me tell you something. You see, Bunji fans like to sing along with the song. They like to learn all the lyrics. They like to argue you down if you don't like the song. And as a Bunji fan myself, I just a fan of the whole lyrical, gimmickal, never lyrical. That's a lot for me. But I could tell you this. The effect that Bunji songs is having a fete. He doing something different than everybody else, because just go back to years where it had you name the road marches, right? Did Bunji ever win a road march? I can't remember, I can't remember Bunji ever winning a road march. I know you win a few Soca Monarch. Let me just make sure I'm saying the right thing here. I know you win Soca Monarch a few times, but I don't think he ever win road march, if I'm not mistaken. But when you look back at the road marches over the years, right? So I just going back to the most recent few. The last one was, the last listed road march is Backyard Jam by Farmer Nappy. That's one of the men of the groovers who don't miss it, but I don't think that was our official carnival, right? They say online road march. Thank God they give Farmer that too. Salute to whoever gave Farmer that as the online road march. Let Farmer go down as a road march champion, man. I like that. But before that was Stage Gone Bad. I don't really like that song. I don't know about you all. I find that song is it kind of meh. Savannah Grass would be a better song. I think Savannah Grass was the year when they had Family. I don't find Family to be a great song either. Soca Kingdom was a monster. Full Extreme was a monster. Waiting on the Stage. Waiting on the stage. That is what Waiting on the Stage is. Like a Boss was a big song. Ministry Road is garbage. Fantastic Friday was big. Pump Your Flag is garbage. Advantage is garbage. So when you watch it, right, some of these songs that they end up pushing for road march and thing, them songs don't last as long as Bunji songs, because when Bunji say Big Bad Soca, that is international hit you're talking about, playing anywhere in the world. And you see this hard fete, this song gonna be a global hit. And they're gonna be singing about things that people don't know nothing about, because even when they hear the word fete, because Bunji hits his hits outside of carnival, so I could keep whatever I say about lyrical miracle and think the man know how to make a hit, a monster song. And imagine he gonna have people in Europe and in the States at the basketball games and all over the world singing about wassa and flour mills and all them types of fete. So look at Bunji. Bunji one of the greatest of all time. I always give him a hard time for that lyrical thing, but he have his fans and he have people who gonna follow that, and I myself can't wait to go a fete. But maybe I should rewrite this song, because I only go in small fete, so I ain't extended no apology. Because you see them big flag, nobody go hit me like no canopy. You know what I mean? I think my time for that part. And something I want to address before I go into the topics of this week too. I seen people using the word stush fete and thing very loosely. And I seen a lot of people who have the kind of high sudity and snooty and highfalutin talking about big fete, right? Let me explain something to all you, right? Out in South and them things is not no big fete. What they playing Eye Up and what was even on this weekend? Black to Blue. These is not no big fete. I just want to make it clear for people, because everybody who feel like these high city committee, the Thanos of committees coming together to throw fetes is what Bunji's singing about. So when Ole in a big fete now, this is not what he's singing about. I'm very confused at this. Because when there was still a wassa fete and a fire fete and a licensing fete, out in South and Black to Blue, and this is what we would be calling stush fete. I don't know what it is. I'm confused as to what it is people talking about. And people ever went wassa? I wonder if people listening to this went a wassa fete or went fire. When fire used to be the earliest fete in the season and opening. Let me tell you something, them fete and them was rough, When Bunji talking about knife tip and tight pants and them things, you couldn't wear them things to go fete. You had to wear thing you're willing to throw away. It's short pants and sneakers, white vest, according to your rag in the back pocket. Some of them fete, people used to have other things in the back pocket too, Bunji. But thanks for not saying that. I go say it on your behalf. But when you used to go customs, and Army is the last of those fetes that survived the era. Salute to the people who behind Army. But I just want to go easy, right? When you're singing your big fete and you only go in big fete and hard fete and everybody show your hand up, I just want to keep in mind that you are in a stush fete. And when you're talking about people behaving stush, I want you to accept that you are one of them. You do not know what bad behavior is in a fete if the biggest fete you went is Soca, right? So let me just slow down on that kind of talk. But salute to Bunji Gali. The biggest power, so This is the biggest power song in the year, for the year at this point. I want us to keep in mind too that song ain't start to release, right? January is still green. So Carnival is in the middle of February, you know what I mean? Wait, is it 21st, something, the end of February, then if you want to call it that. So heavy hitters didn't really say nothing yet. I suspect Bunji have bigger songs than this to release closer to the time. And you know, from Super Blue, who you always had to hear still, you know what I mean? The only man to win a road march in every decade he performing so far. So he went in the 80s, the 90s, the 2000s, in the 2010s, and now he almost due. We enter the first carnival of the 2020s. First one you're gonna do in person. Salute to Dr. Rowley for not locking back down the country. I was a little worried, you know. I tell myself, oh God, we're going back into lockdown for sure. But the man say, hey, we're going on. We can't do nothing about this. Fete, enjoy yourself, stay safe. But we ain't locking back down nothing. So we're going into the first carnival in person. And Super Blue know how to put together a song and he know how to win a road march, whether it's with collaboration or by himself. So you can't count him out. The other road march contenders, I'm assuming that Marshall Montano is going to sing a road march type song. Because that's what he's do. And I mean, talking about Marshall too, right? I was watching the images from the fetes this weekend, particularly Hydrate, Black to Blue. They had some of the fetes Saturday night too. I can't remember what they call that. I find like the fetes looking a little bit not so up full without Marshall. I've seen this before. We lived through a year where Marshall went and signed some kind of international recording contract. And I ain't taking nothing away from all the entertainers who was there that time because Super Blue, Ronnie McIntosh, Iowa George being three of the top guys at that time, they was holding it. But Marshall was taking the fete to the next level. And I'm feeling like if the Marshall say one performance for the year, if we're not missing Marshall. Now again, I can't go no big fete. So I don't think I could make that Carnival Friday Marshall thing. You know. For me to go that Carnival Friday, I had to drive and park. Wait, is in the stadium in the Savannah, which part they keeping it? They had to keep a park for my like in that cabana thing. Salute to Kyrie people. I was talking to Sheppy this week. And I'm going different. I ain't go different in real years. When I went different was a small fete. I started going different in YWCA compound in Sinclair. And then I reached Lions, I believe it was, or St. John's or one of them, and I went different. And then I see pictures from different a couple of years ago with different, the whole oval looking like it full. You understand? The big part of the oval looking like it full. Not the small part, no car park. The whole place full. And I see them full out government campus too. It looked like the whole promenade is the fit. So I call him this week and I tell him, boy, I come in different. In a long time I ain't come a little different, you know what I mean? And I was asking him, I said, boy, I'll have a VIP section. And I really forget the front was all inclusive. But I was asking, I'll have a VIP section because what I really wanted to ask him is, can I park in the fete? I would love to park in the fete if only a cabana or something, right? I want a drive-through fete experience where I could come in my car, don't go through no set of traffic, or find an alternate route for me. Let me drive straight up to my cabana. If I can stay in my car if I want, so I could drop asleep a few times if I feel to take a 5 and wake back. I'm not a young man. It's high time now we start to realize that the biggest artists in Carnival, there's 40-something, they're starting to get onto 50-something now. So while we looking at some of the elders in Calypso and things who do the time and they pave the way, the ones we listening to now is the elders now, you know. So second Sunday was going this week, that looked good, you know what I mean? I was talking about Nyla and them, for them is the youths, you know. Anytime you're catering to people 40 plus, let me have a drive-through experience now, you know what I mean? A kid done a kind of fete scene, so I was trying to get her from Sheppy, but he blanked me. He said there are no VIPs. I'm all Kyrie people is VIP. They don't like marketing people, you know. But yeah, no Marshall in the fetes. How all they find the fetes looking, I find like it didn't go into that crescendo that is usually go to. And again, we was talking about this last week in terms of competition. I was talking about it in the context of Turner. And as again, tune into my guys on the APP 868 podcast, right? Alternative Perspective podcast with Naldo and Jude. Them fellas do a breakdown or a discussion about Turner and the whole idea of the Soca Mafia and people fighting them. It's real interesting. You had to listen to them guys. Them fellas and them, they're podding in real life. But one of the things that Naldo was messaging on YouTube to tell me that the difficulty people have with the mafia is not so much that they control anything, but the fact that they're not reinvesting in the culture. And we had to remember that that is not business people's responsibility. The first response in business school, one of the first things you say in business 101, your first responsibility is to turn a profit. I will say that in both in business and marketing, more and more the academics starting to talk more and more about social responsibility. Like in marketing, they have a concept called the holistic concept of marketing, right? Where it builds, the concepts build from level to level. So first you have a sales concept or a selling concept where you just try to make whatever and sell it to people. And then they have a production concept where you make things cheap as possible and try to get people to buy it. Of course, both of them don't work very well. And then they have what they call a product concept where you make the highest quality version of something and try to sell it. But because you define what is quality and you didn't let the market decide what is quality, those companies fail as well. And then they evolve to what you call a marketing concept or a holistic concept. The marketing concept just basically saying, start by understanding your customers' needs, preferences, wants, desires, insecurities, whatever it might be, and then make a what they call the 4Ps, right? Product, place, price, promotion, and then you offer it to them. So I'll say that the bigger fete promoters, when you look at what let me compare. I talking to Sheppy and he's saying they create an experience for their people where there's no VIP. Everybody tickets are standard. The ticket prices don't escalate over time. I think they just have an early bird ticket and then a normal price, and they cater for the patrons. One of the great ideas I like that Carry people implement is that you have a option for breakfasts where you can pay for a premium bar ticket, if I'm not mistaken, or pay for the regular bar ticket, which is also all inclusive. Or you could pay for a cooler ticket where you bring your own cooler and them kind of thing. That must be some work to manage while you're in the venue, but it gives because they know their audience very well. They cater to their audience and they have a different type of experience, no pun intended, right? And that's what, to me, marketing concept is about: understanding who your customer is and tailoring something to them. And once you're doing that well, you're going to have long-term and sustainable success, like the guys that Carry people who've been around. I remember when they was just talking about this, and when they was now talking about trainer fete, and I was begging them to bait down people. I said, well, they can't no Juve fete and only wetting people down. People want wet down. You know what I mean? But from concept stage, they probably more than 10 years in training this fete. No, probably. It had to be more than 10 years. I must ask him how long they're doing it. So that kind of sustainability is hard to achieve in any type of business. And we must remember that the business person's first responsibility is to their customer. The second responsibility most time is to your shareholders or your investors or your debtors. These are people who lend you money or put money with you to invest. You have to make money for them. Now, the idea behind the holistic concept is that what I want to do is make sure that I take care of the several publics that you serve, be in your community, the governing bodies that so for instance NCC, Pantry and Bagel. You may, a better company would want to reinvest in the society where they're making their money. It is not mandatory. Should it be mandatory? It's hard to make mandatory, right? Because a man is trying to make a profit. And what you really want from that person is the taxes, right? So assuming all promoters are good upstanding tax-paying corporate citizens, which I'm sure they are, we already benefit from them, right? We benefit from businesses because businesses pay tax. Now, good businesses will find good accountants and good finance people to minimize the amount of taxes they have to pay, right? Use Donald Trump as an example, who openly talks about the fact that he ain't paying no taxes. But within the normal operation in Trinidad and Tobago, you have to pay tax on revenue, small taxes that you pay on revenue that go towards specific things. You have to pay sales tax or at least collect sales tax on behalf and pay out sales tax to people. Plus, you employ people and so on. So the fact that a country have businesses, a country who encourages small business growth, is probably going to be a more progressive country than any other country. So we must remember that the first thing you want the businesses to do is make money. Now, I will say that more now than ever before, the consumer is the one who is driving this idea of corporate social responsibility. Because plenty things, and when I say corporate social responsibility, I just mean giving back, right? Giving back to the community. How do you help foster the art form? How do you help fetes evolve? How do you help younger promoters, younger artists, the people who, and help the society? And you're throwing fetes and shagaramas every year. Do you do anything for the people in carnage, who face that traffic and who have to put up with that noise and everything that happens every year. You're throwing fetes into Aruba every year. Do you do anything for the Brian Lara Stadium that could benefit young cricketers that coming up? There are several ways that companies could find to reinvest in the society, right? So if that, I understand where Naldo coming from. I mean, if that is the critique, they have one or two things we could do. We could let the government incentivize. Incentivize is always better than mandate, right? So if you incentivize them to do it by putting things in place where they can benefit and it can enhance their profitability or reduce their tax liability by providing the things, then you get the best of both worlds. You get the business to run the business profitably and you get them to invest in the community, taking some of that burden off the government, right? Which we need. The second way is that the consumer has to drive it. The good businesses, they will always listen to their consumers. They will always be driven by where the demand is, right? And I will say that in today's world, the young consumer is more socially conscious than we were. So you might find that if they were to find out that there's a mass band that gives back significantly to the community, they are more likely to channel their spending dollars to a company who does that than not. Now, that's not really panning out yet, right? Because I'm sure you're listening to this and you're saying, but all of them is going to spend their money by Tribe, right? And I'm not sure much Tribe. I'm sure they do a lot, right? But I've never seen Tribe publicize what they do for the communities as part of their marketing efforts. But I would think that any one of the bands or any of the fete promoters or the artists who do more of that stand to benefit, just because that's how young people buy now. So when I was a young person in 16, them kind of age, I taking my whole little money I work for the vacation. I go and buy a Jordan 1500 all. I go and buy. I was that's what I was into. Whereas you find younger people now into different types of brands, and they're not as brand heavy or brand dependent as we were as teenagers, but they may. So Toms is a good example, right? You might find young people buying more Toms, which is not the nicest shoe you ever see. But part of their marketing strategy is to donate one pair of shoes to somebody who wouldn't be able to afford shoes for every shoe that people buy. And consumers today buy into ideas like that because they're feeling like they're giving back to society or they're helping society do better. So it's one of them two ways, it's either demand drive it or we incentivize it or mandate it. But we must never lose sight of the fact that Tribe is a private business and they're here to make money. All the people who are involved in Black to Blue, all them promoters who's come together to form a Thanos when all the superheroes come together. Those are private businesses. That's somebody investing their money or the money of investors. And their first protocol is to make sure that they're making a profit. So this was the point I was making about young Turner last week. And I learned from Naldo on them podcast as well that Turner had lost a small child, a 2-year-old child. It's sad, you know what I mean? That is rough for anybody. And my first instinct, which might have been crude, was like, you should sing about that. Like, sometimes the more real your songs are, is the more people they connect with on a deeper level and they last forever. Now, I don't know if that's something that he would be willing to do or if it's wise to do it at all. But I mean, I listened to his music this year and it's all right. It's okay. It could be any mix if you want. It's nothing that anybody can't deny or ignore. If you make something that people could deny or ignore, then I'll probably take stock of it and try to figure out why radio stations and playing it, and then we could talk about the mafia. But I also know that if your song can't be denied and it's a big monster song, people go and find it on YouTube. It will be playing, it will be streaming, it will be all over the socials and everything. It will be playing in fetes, and the songs Turner sing this year, they're all right, So the second part of the Soca Mafia is my man tell me don't call no name. I calling people name hard last week, right? But they blaming Marshall Montano now for having his what's the name of him? It's one fete? No, it can't be one fete. Marshall Montano. I don't know what the name of the thing is. 40 on Carnival Friday. And I wonder how people feel about that. How y'all feel about that? Because I hear a man call the radio station this morning coincidentally, and he say, "Oh, Marshall go through the thing on Fantastic Friday. He mashing up all the events on Fantastic Friday. Nobody can do nothing. He wanted our party home, but he can't have it." I was like, wow, that's a lot of power for one man. And I wonder if people appreciate the idea that the market is a judge. The market is who judging it. And when I say the market, it is fet goers who would decide that. Because Marshall basically decided he's not performing in any fets. I see him make a little cameo with Skinny Fabulous, look like he do an album launch. And he catch Marshall up there singing a little bit of the spirits and he stop. He say one performance is one performance, so he get you one performance Carnival Friday. Knowing him, I feel he will appear somewhere. He like the thing, He like the thing in real life, I mean? He's a genuine soca man and a genuine carnival man. So I'm not seeing a world where he just don't appear anywhere for the carnival and he just do the one fet. And after the one fet, you might see him that weekend pop up in some things, I mean? I remember him popping up in breakfasts a year. I suspect you will see something like that. He like it in real. But I don't understand this idea that Marshall must now not be a part of the landscape or stick to your Monday. That is what people say. He was doing Marshall Mondays before and now he going to Fantastic Friday. And the accusation is that he take alternative concept and mash up Brass Festival, which I'm pretty sure that he did. And I think it was deliberate too. But Brass Festival itself wasn't the greatest set of organization you ever come across. Bands used to stay on real long. The thing used to go until daylight. So from the time they cut down the time that bands could perform, that fets could go for, all the bands had little short spaces of time. And Marshall find himself, you have something that you want to promote and bring and you want to connect with your people and say, well, now you have 15 minutes for a whole band to perform. It would not work well. So you went and he created alternative concept, which evolved into Marshall Monday. But if you remember, alternative concept starts off on the Saturday that was Brass, the Saturday before the Carnival week. And he take over that and Brass is no more. But the reality is that he was accused then of destroying a pillar of the society. And listen, the Brass Festival is a private enterprise. That is somebody who running a business, who making money off the business. And if you're running a business and you ain't figure out how to make money or to protect your investment, that is on you. That nothing to do with we. You should protect Brass. So you can have the biggest fete in Carnival and a man with 10 bands from all over the world coming in and a man with one band come and destroy your whole fete. Then your fete wasn't good. Or the definition of good was changing and you didn't keep up with it. And that's exactly what happened because all they argued with Marshall about Brass. All the rest of them went after Brass. It's only Army that remained. There's no more Wassa. It's still have people working Wassa. It's still have people working Fire. It's still have police feds. It's still have, all of them gone. It's still have PNM fed. That was a kind of big fed too, But all the big feds started to disappear. So it's clear that from a demand standpoint, the fete goer wanted something different. I understand what Bunji singing in his song, but it's clear that the fete goer was looking for a different type of experience. And Marshall find a way to provide that experience in alternative concept. He find a way to provide it in Marshall Monday. And to tell you the truth, I never really liked Marshall. Well, when Marshall Monday had started, I was living in Jamaica. And I used to come home for Carnival. Now, if you ever live abroad, Jamaica not like abroad anymore. If you ever not live in Trinidad, right? Or if you live in the region before, and you don't get to come home too often. When you come home for Carnival, you want to go. You want to fete. So I remember my boys, Osman Hinkson and them days we linemen, everywhere we going together. And before, when I tell them what they are coming in, they tell me, all right, we have tickets for you for Marshall Monday. I say, all right, cool. And I was real disappointed when I went in that and it's a singing and a stopping and a talking. And the thing is, it take me a while to realize Marshall Monday is not a fete. Right? It's just what it is. It's a show, a concert, whatever you want to call it. It's not exactly a fete. I come into fete and jam people and have a good time. That was not what Marshall Monday was doing at all. And I think I went back a year. I went up one of the years that Minshall had done the production with him. And it was a great production. I wish I could have just sit down and watch it and lower my expectations about being in a complete jam down in a fete, which is why I want to see, because when I'm in Jamaica and I go, I see in stage shows all the time where it's performance driven and production, and I just want to fete. Me want to watch one stage. But it was never that. And like I remember the year he sang Jumbie. I just watched the whole thing and then it break away when the Jumbie started. That was the only time people really went into fete mode. And a good partner of mine from Guyana, Robbie Ramber, and Robbie came over he was excited about that. He's like, come in, I want to go Marshall Monday. So I went another time with him and it was all right. I think that's the year he sang like a boss. It was good. It was okay. But in the midst of the thing is Cutty Rank, so Winnie Wonder and somebody, and that is not for me. But again, the definition of what a fete goer was looking for, it changed, and people Marshall Monday oversubscribed. He canceled Marshall Monday and he said they're doing melee cruise that oversubscribe. And now the Friday night fair, especially because he says only one event he doing. I was talking to my partner and he say nobody want to book Marshall for no virtual fetes for carnival last time. He said he's mashing up everybody. But just like everything else they would have say mash up, just keep in mind that Soca Monarch is a private enterprise. Soca Monarch is not of the people or owned by the people or anything like that. A matter of fact, if you want to be honest, Soca Monarch could be a drain on the resources of the people because the fete wasn't performing well. It wasn't selling out. Again, I remember the original days of Soca Monarch when said Bunji was carrying that show. Fair and Lions, Destro was in his show. Maximus Dan at the time, MX Prime was a big draw. Marshall used to be there. So the biggest soca artist was a part of it. And go back even before that when Super Blue and Ronnie McIntosh was the two big headliners. They were the people who were carrying Soca Monarch all the time. So I feel Soca Monarch was born. It was a great idea and it was serving a good purpose because it came out of Calypso Monarch. When you go Skinner Park and you have your big song, your big soca song, you go Skinner Park and you mash up and you have a second calypso. But when you go to the Marsh Grand Night, where people come to sit down to hear proper kaiso, you're coming dead last. Every soca man had no chance to win a Calypso Monarch and is known. You know what I mean? Marshall has some of the biggest songs in history. Marshall, Bunji, Sean Winchester, Destro, all of them are some of the biggest songs we could remember. Plenty more big songs we could remember than Choke. This were the most Calypso Monarch. But they had no chance of winning that Monarch or the King of Carnival. So people in their wisdom went and formed a fete basically that was competition driven, that was designed for soca. I think it was a good idea at the time. They let the soca artists compete against one another, and you have a event. No, it was going good. It used to be full. Everybody want to see what men coming with. It was genuine competition. And then somewhere along the way, it started to get a little bit monotonous. And it really comes down to a few things. It's almost like having a World Cup, but you do a Germany or Argentina or Brazil or France or Spain or any of them in the World Cup. Yes, we go on to back with little Morocco and back Trinidad from time to time in 2026, right, Angus? We want those things, and you like the romance stories, but FIFA understand that the World Cup is not what it is if the big boy is not there. But I don't think Soca Monarch had understood that. They turn off enough of the big boys with the jokey judging and all them kind of thing, and not paying people right, and the performance fee variability and all those things, and probably not making enough of our parents' fees to have people to have the kind of big budgets to put on the fan and Bunji type performances. If you don't do that, your show will start to deteriorate. It start to get less interesting, less people come out, and I'm not sure what they expected to happen. It started to dwindle and die down. And when it dwindled and died down, it died down with taxpayers' dollars because for some reason, our government, regardless of party, like making these kind of arrangements where a private business have a fete. And they giving that private business owner a prize. So they're telling you, listen, we go sponsor the prize. The prize is $1 million. The prize is $2 million. So he gets to give the artist a prize of $2 million, handle all his appearance fees and so on. And then whatever money he make on the event, none of it comes back to the taxpayer or comes back to the government. You make your money and you walk away. So this idea that Marshall doing you something by putting the fete on that night, listen, when you had the biggest space on the night, everybody had to move. It had a real fete used to happen on a Friday night. And at that point, Soca Monarch take over. You couldn't even have another event on this Friday night. And then, as they say, it's brong dog. So if Marshall come and brong dog you back, you had to compete. As far as I'm concerned, steel sharpens steel. You're only going to get better and get stronger if you try to compete against the best. And right now, the best is Marshall. The best is also Voice. The best is Second Star. The best is Nyla because they're selling out the venues and doing what they had to do. And they are people who had to say Kess again. Sorry, Kess is... I don't mention Kess enough on this podcast. But Kess is one of them people who you had to avoid. When Kess say, what is Tuesday on the Rocks? And I believe he doing Tuesday on the Rocks down in South this time, maybe for the first time. he's one that you had to keep an eye on. He not going to be stopped on the Tuesday night. He there forever and ever. And again, we are saying forever loosely, but there will come a time when some young artists who we don't know yet, we don't know this person exists yet, will come and take over them spaces, and it is what it is. Them fellas on the app, it's 16 podcast asked an important question last week. They say, if one man who's done 100 and something years old named Marshall Montano, who's singing for the last 70 something years, still is the biggest draw in Carnival. Men had to step up the game. Men had to step up the game, and salute to Voice and them who find their own way to step up. But I find the complaining thing is a kind of loser mentality. It don't get you nowhere. And I don't think the people involved are losers, because men who are throwing Soca Monarch, them men living a very good lifestyle. They make good money. If they choose not to throw no more fete or not to be apartheid again, the real estate investments and so on, they will take them over the red edge anyway. They fine in life. They don't need anything from anybody. But that's why initiative as well that I want to salute. I was talking about this some years ago, where the ticket prices. So I was telling you about 4,000 US from Augusta. My sister says she can come back in $7,000 on them kind of prices. It's kind of crazy when you look at the prices of it. But I'm seeing a site here, Instagram page really, called My Epic Carnival. And there's a Royal Caribbean cruise that leaving from Barbados aboard the Royal Caribbean Rhapsody of the Seas. And they bring in that whole cruise line to Trinidad. I find it's a good idea. I even remember my boy Edmund telling me he might have come still if he could have fly into the next country. Like if he could fly into Guyana and come here straight, it would be nicer. But I find like the hotel room thing is crazy in Trinidad. The hotel and Airbnb situation is craziness. When you hear the amount of money you had to pay for a night to come for Carnival. And I suppose that's the same with bigger festivals all over the world. But we need innovative ways of addressing that room and board situation. I kind of like that. I like the idea where, if, for instance, they have a cruise from Miami, let me say Royal Caribbean, and we could come together and say, you see, from the Saturday before Carnival, we're cruising and going Trinidad, and the boat parking ride by Hyatt. And we staying for the whole week. You're coming back Ash Wednesday. We leaving the Carnival Tuesday night, and you're coming back Ash Wednesday. No man left behind. So you know you could play a mass and come back on the boat midnight, you're good to go. Every time you go your fete, you're getting shuttles or whatever from the boat to go all the different fetes. And you're coming back on the boat and sleep. That is where your lunch and all your different things provided for you during the course of the day. You come back there and sleep and you go. I don't see why we can have a carnival that have 10 cruise liners line up outside. I know how sure you go walk in, right? Stay close to the shore. But if they park up at the shore there and you can walk on and walk off and have the experience, I think it expands what we do for carnival, not just in terms of fetes and all those things, but the entire experience, like what people come to do. Who want to do hiking, who want to do beach type of thing, who want to do Christian and they want to go camping. But to see a period in the country where is our biggest earner from a service standpoint, right? So forget oil and gas and the manufacturing and thing. From a service standpoint, is your biggest earner and it's surely your biggest driver of tourism, right? I don't understand why we see an excess demand and not responding to the excess demand. Again, is a real public sector type mentality, because again, if Marshall was seeing excess demand for his what do you think named 40? If he's seeing excess demand for that, he probably going to go to a bigger venue or change his concept next year and adjust. Look how much times he adjusts. He adjusts from Marshall Montano to HD to the Monk. So, you know what I mean? He adjusts and change himself all the time. One of the people who I want to get credit for adjusting all the time too is Iowa. I'm not exactly sure what it is Iowa is adjusting. Being honest with you, it don't look like he adjusted much, but clearly, to be singing from the 80s to today, with you in Black to Blue, and song cut off, and you could carry that crowd, and I mean, it shows something about your willingness to adjust. So I don't understand how come we in this situation where the world is showing us that they want more of Trinidad and Tobago Carnival, and we just making it remain the same size right through. And the price getting higher and higher for fete tickets, because if you have plenty demand and you have limited supply, the price will go up, right? So the fete tickets getting expensive. The airfare to come into Trinidad and Tobago getting expensive. The hotels and room and board and accommodation getting expensive. Transport go get more expensive on the ground during the time. Food will get more. When are we going to say, all right, what can we do to expand the capacity? But in fairness to them, I see a nice little article this week that I want to highlight and give credit for, where Maracas they're looking at a $70 million dollar investment for Maracas Bay Hotel. This is from Gisha Kaulisa Alonso in the Newsday. Is it Gisha? CNC3. TNT's North Coast will receive a $70 million investment as Managing Director of Qualitech Machining Services, Deepak Lal, and Chief Executive Officer of Rams Logistics, Sean Rampasad, will be offering a modern, luxurious Maracas Bay Hotel with a multitude of unique features. The venture will not only increase the country's room stock, but will also create much-needed jobs and boost spin-off industries such as events, small businesses, and agriculture, among others. Subject to statutory approval, construction is expected to begin in March this year, and completion should be concluded by the end of March 2024. Well, they're missing Carnival, right? But by 2025, we're good. But what led Lal and Rampasad, well-known in the energy circles, to venture into the hotel and tourism sphere? Lal told the Business Guardian he first spotted the Maracas Bay Hotel for sale in 2017, but the price was out of his range. A couple of years after, while on a trip to North Deck Maracas, he again inquired whether the property was still up for grabs. And as luck will have it, the listing was within his price range. Well, he makes some good money over the years. Salute to you, Lal. Lal said he couldn't make it, but he come back around and he could make it now. I like that. So they're picking up the Maracas Hotel and investing $70 million into it and making it into a nice... I mean, if you know where Maracas Bay Hotel is, it's a nice location. Check for the article on CNC3 as well. They give us a little render of the facility, and I like it a lot. I remember being in Miami recently with Edmund and my boy JP, my boy Juan, and we were talking about Miami Beach, right? We were walking along Miami Beach, and I was telling them, I say, when I come to places like this and I see these things, I start to understand what my marketing degree was trying to tell me. Because while we were walking on the beach, there was a flyby with those little planes I show a little sign dragging behind it. We used to see that on Sesame Street plenty back in the day on TV. But they were showing a promotion for Live nightclub. I guess Live had a party the night and you could go, they're trying to get people to go. But this is what marketing is about, because when you go to the beach, people were bathing and things. I find it was cool. I don't like bathing in that beach there anyway. I kind of like the Caribbean beaches more. And I also see way too much shark thing. When I'm watching the news in the States, there's a shark coming close to the shore. I say, let me keep my black self on the shore. And I will tell people when shark coming, But one of the things we were saying is that Edmund was telling me that he had an executive come here a long time ago. And he was trying to tell him, he said, Edmund, I went to Maracas. You all say it's so great and thing. He said, but the only thing they have there is the beach. And he find it as a strange statement, what do you mean it have the beach? Is the beach you went to? What do you mean it only have the beach? But Miami shows you this, because when you go there, you have shopping. You have Collins Avenue, you have a bunch of shopping, several restaurants, little boutique places, several bars right down on the strip there. I think it's Lincoln, where you have a whole lot of, like being in a mall, is a whole long, like all the restaurants in the middle, a bunch of shopping, what do you call them? Stores, like clothes and all those things going on the sides. You have several people selling things on the beach, you know what I mean? So it's like, what it does is create a hub for commerce. People come there because it's a vibe. And anybody who come there could find things to do, because one man selling jet skis and their little tours and those types of things. And I just find that sometimes we are a little limited in the way we see things. It's like, and maybe there's a benefit if it's untouched and it's pristine, but imagine what Maracas would be like if you had... Now, I ain't talking about them thing where they build to put the bacon shack in the HGC houses they build on the beach, right? I'm talking about proper thing where it's looking aesthetically pleasing and it's feeling good. You're feeling proud to be from there and feeling proud to be there. And they build a nice little strip where they have proper restaurants and them kind of thing, you know what I mean? You could find a show cafe, a KFC. You could find several types of businesses there, along with the bacon shack and them people too. And then they have some stores, you know what I mean, where you could go and you could buy your stuff. You could buy whether it's just beach things or blow up thing. Why we had the blow up man who sell the blow up things on the side of the road still? The snow cone man on the side of the road still. The best thing you can find up there at a gas station or Uncle Ben's. You could do something nice up there. So I'm hoping that the hotel is the first step toward doing something world class and first class where the beach itself becomes an economy. But again, we don't really like to compete. So I'm sure that when we try to do that, the bacon shark people go say somebody fighting them down and trying to squeeze them out and don't want them to live and how they go live and their families will starve and all them. But we could also find ways to compete. When people go to Hellshire in Jamaica, you go in Hellshire for the fish. Bacon Shark, Marcus done have a branding with around Bacon Shark already. So it's an opportunity to bring more people there. And if you bring more people there, more people going to buy Bacon Shark. Even though they have high-end restaurants or fast food and things, when you leave town to go quieter, you're probably going to buy up some Bacon Shark. You're probably going to sell much more than you're selling now. But we're afraid competition bad. You know? But salute to the Lals and so on, those guys who looking to help Maracas evolve. And it's one of the things that will fix this little carnival issue that we have, because we want to say that we have the mother of all carnivals and we have the biggest carnival in the region. We like to talk like that, but we have the least amount of hotel rooms in the whole region and them kind of things. So it's like, what big carnival we really saying? And as many people pointing out, Jamaica Carnival, it's going to get more and more popular because it's easier to access. The tickets cheaper. It's cheaper to play mass. You know, all-inclusive hotel when you go back home from the fete. Everything organized. The whole tourism sector there is pointed and geared toward carnival. So, and it's easier to get from anywhere in the States to Kingston or to Montego Bay than it is to get to Port of Spain. But I saw Bounty Killer talking about that over the Christmas too, where he was vexed because our Soca fete swinging and stinging looking good. You know what I mean? But that Soca wave picking up more and more in Jamaica, and we had to be careful. But anyway, more on Carnival, right? Black's family warns permission needed to use his unreleased songs. I like this kind of thing, you know. Black's don't go on and close the eye and thing, and now is a bacchanal with Black's family and Black's, you know what I mean? You know, if there was no bacchanalists in life, you doesn't want to see these things. But reading from the Newsday, this is from Narissa Fraser. The family of late soca star Dexter Black Stewart is warning those in the entertainment industry that written approval is required to use any of his unreleased music. In a legal notice by attorney Randall Donovan, Calypsonian himself, Black's children, Michelle Stewart, Terrell Stewart, and Melissa Casano, are listed as the beneficiaries who share in entitlements of his estate. His children thanked colleagues, friends, and fans who have paid tribute to him after his death in March 2028. In March 28, 2022, the notice added, "We welcome and appreciate the tributes that help to keep Mr. Stewart's legacy alive. This includes the airing, playing, and singing of compositions sung and performed by Blacks, which were recorded and released up to the time of his death." Thank God, because I was saying, well, look at my Black Side play. I thought I was in trouble, but this is only unreleased part, right? But it is said that within the last 6 weeks, unreleased music recorded by Stewart was used without ample consultation and or discussion with all of his known beneficiaries. So I suppose, I mean, that would be, that's not uncommon that somebody pass and there's a fight over. I never really hear too much of the fight over the unreleased music. Usually you find fights over the rights to the catalog. But they apparently, maybe that was sealed and the business and that is done. So they're not saying anything about the catalog itself. They're just talking about the music that he hasn't released yet. And I was really hoping to be on the road this year to get new Blacks up in me. Pause. I would have liked to hear something from Blacks on the road for just the nostalgia and the feeling. Blacks give me a good feeling on the road with Yuma last time. And I always talk about that where we get stuck by Roxy for a little while, by Harvard side then. When you now come out to St. Mary's grounds. And the band could move and Blacks and them was on the truck there and playing and singing. I mean, boy, listen, Blacks is a special one. So I was hoping for a little new Blacks music, but it's looking like that would be too possible. I want to say salute to our running through topics quick. When it comes to news topics, we getting through all the news topics. How long we spend on them will be a different story, but I saw some things this week that I felt good about, man. I saw the schools panorama semi-final, I believe it was. Uh, Preliminary round, sorry, judging in the schools, right? And you see them little girls in Bishop's Anstey. I want to say salute to them. They played Lorraine by Explainer. And I'm not just saluting them because of how good they play it and how well rehearsed they are, because I would say that all the schools I saw were good, they were well rehearsed. But Bishop's them little girls enjoy themselves playing that music. I like to see that. I like to see that. I like the way they move. Listen, them girls and them are about them are energy, boy. Because you see me, if I had to play an instrument, I concentrating so much I sweating. I can't do what them do, but pan men is be well drilled, you know. And these little pan ladies, they was well drilled and they play the music and enjoy themselves. I'm so glad to hear that they make a tribute to Explainer. As I was saying about the Stalin episode being the most popular, please go back and listen to episodes on people like Explainer and so on. It's important because them is important men in the culture. You know, but it was so good of them to do that. And I see another dedication. Yeah, I was wondering about that dedication and who approved this, because they had a group who seemed to bring like a casket on stage, like to represent Stalin. I like the tribute. I like what it stood for and so on. But I find the caskets is a bit, it might be a little bit much. And yeah, you see somebody vandalize Stalin grave too. I feel it's a madman. I feel it's just a vagrant. So I feel it's just sweep up that and fix back that and let the black man rest in peace. It had to be some kind of vagrant. I want to believe nobody do it deliberately. But salute to music teacher Tamara Martin Miller and the arranger Barry Manette. That Manette name done in pan, well emblazoned in pan through the years, right? So salute to them and salute to girls at Bishop's Anstey who really come out. And I want to listen. You see, Bishops and these kind of schools, the schools that are just frightened to mention too much, because it is hard to get Bishop Strong and Bishop's this and Hilarion and all. They start to get a little wild when they do something that they could be proud of. Well, they just be proud of the little thing. And I am sure which is which, which one is Anstey and which one is Centenary. Anstey is the one who's like to get all over themselves, you know what I mean? Is this feel themselves a lot, But salute to all you. You do a great job with the youths on the pan. And I like to see many, many races and many different types of children and things playing the pan together, man. It's an important thing for you to learn that idea of what you call camaraderie and learning in music and the coming together of musicians. That is important life skills that they're teaching them, man. So salute to them. Also saw a few schools being highlighted and just the level of enjoyment. I like how it's this odd, right? But I enjoy seeing how all of them short and their face close to the pan, not like not like adults. Just seeing them as a little children doing that, I like that, man. I find we need to do more of that, and hopefully there are more initiatives that take competitions or showcases like Junior Panorama year round. You have to remember that the pan is an instrument, right? An instrument could play any kind of music or any genre of music. It don't have to be limited to soca or calypso music necessarily, right? So let the children understand the fullness that is pan and let them play all different kind of music, man. Let them enjoy themselves. What else we have on the docket here? We touching on these things quick and riding out. What's going on here? Business owners breathe a sigh of relief. Well, no way in locking down for COVID, right? So salute to Dr. Rowley. You have my vote. If you call an election now, you win. Let's take a quick minute to acknowledge a Trinidadian approved as vice president at Nike. This is by Peter Christopher in The Guardian. 10 years ago, Devin Badal left TNT to settle in Miami, Florida in the States. Today, he has charted a significant course as he has ascended to the position of vice president of operations at global sportswear leader Nike. He's quoted as saying, I grew up in Trinidad and Princestown. Princestown is one of them just like Bishops people, From the time I say Princestown, they get wild. But anyway, I grew up in Trinidad and Princestown and I started going to UE. After I did my bachelor's degree, I started my master's degree right after. At the same time I was doing my master's degree, I used to work for the TNT police as a crime analyst and looking at data analysis. All right, okay, you diverse. Data was brand new back then. The police service was now being introduced to data. Devin, I wonder if you could reintroduce them to data. You know what I mean? Since we have a commissioner who like data. Anyway, this is not what this is about. He said data was new back then. The police service was now being introduced to data, so identifying crime patterns, trends, and things like that. After the police, I went to work for the Integrity Commission. Devin, I'm very happy your life take a difference. But you went to work for the Integrity Commission investigating senior government officials. Could make none of this up. Devin is not my favorite guy. After getting married, he migrated. I mean, your wife talks sense into you. He said, I moved to Miami. When I moved to Miami, I got a job at the University of Miami Health Systems, which is focusing on systems as a project manager. He was analyzing the performance of the company and, just starting off in the US. It was like a first job all over again, working with different people, different cultures, and this was one of the most challenging times because leaving the work environment in Trinidad and moving to the US is very different. I think it would be. Everything is performance, measurement, metrics. How many reports per day? It's a very, very different work culture in the US. So in other words, you work. So I spent some time there. And then I moved over to Johnson Controls, which is a company dealing with the fire suppression devices. This man do everything. This is just a jack of all trades. He went on to say my role would have been to improve processes across the country. They would tell me, okay, for the year, find a way to save 5 million. He would go and look for broken processes or how we could sell more or save money. How to just find ways to improve the way we do business to save 4 million or 5 million. He operated as a Six Sigma black belt. Maybe I should go and try Six Sigma. But he went on to do a lot of things. But I'm trying to get to the point where he landed some of the big companies that we know about. So after he's making his presence felt, Badal moved to globally recognized name Microsoft. He said Microsoft was one of my great career shifts. They had me focusing on leading a team across 3 regions of the world, US, Ireland, and Singapore. So I've managed a team of project managers who would deploy projects across the globe. Basically, anywhere Microsoft implements a new project, it would be my team, certainly Windows, Xbox, Outlook, OneDrive, and Microsoft projects. So I spent some time doing that. He said the COVID-19 pandemic changed his trajectory again. After some downtime, he decided to apply for Nike. So he moved from Miami all the way across the US into Oregon, which is the complete opposite side of the country. So another huge shift for him. Man, he said Miami is so nice, the nightlife versus coming into a forested area like Oregon. He started as you get it just, right? Salute to Devin. Salute to Devin. I was glad to see this. I like to see, they really say we're in a little banana republic, we always clap for everything. I think when we play in land, we clapping and them thing. But this is something I definitely want to clap because somebody from little Trinidad, from little Princess Town, who could go to all these different companies, especially places like Microsoft and Nike, and not just make a mark, but make a mark to the point where you reach the vice president level. That is something that we should all celebrate. And Nike continuing to do great things in these spaces. So salute to him. And see if he can sort out the Kyrie Irving situation from a while. I didn't like that, Devin, because I find it's injustice. That's one of the first things you should do. What else we have? Just a few more things here, as we on Nike and athletes. Let me talk some sports now. Well, I'll finish off with the warning to Angus, but let me talk about this first. This is such a sad situation that I see in here with Usain Bolt, right? They're saying Usain Bolt had his money invested in a company called SSL. I don't find that I mean, I live in Jamaica, and any little banking that I do with my 2 little pennies was in NCB Jamaica and RBC Jamaica. You can call me what you want to know. Because I like big institutions with big name that have global presence and things. Not saying that these things are always an indicator, because Clico was a very big name and it had people who can't get back the pension from Clico, right? So it's not to say that everything will be figured out. But I was quite surprised that Usain Bolt had $10 million in a place called Stocks and Securities Limited. It does sound like the wisest decision making. And apparently the 10 million was money he put on for retirement. I mean, when you Google his net worth, he upwards of 100 million, which is great. Salute to Usain Bolt. Salute to you for only losing 10% of your money too. But it's sad. I say Jamaica Observer source. A Jamaica Observer source said the information was delivered to Bolt's management team last week, just before the company went public about a massive fraud that sources say amounts to more than 1.2 billion. Bolt is among 30 people whose investments at SSL are believed to have been fleeced by a wealth advisor. The article went on to say that the person who would have taken them the money is an ex-employee. So I wonder if it's people that both people had a relationship with and he was no longer with the company, but he still represents himself as a company rep and do it because they said that apparently his balances were being presented to him as the same over the years. He said he's been with the company for more than 10 years. And whoever this wealth manager person is run off with some money. And unfortunately, the more I read about this, it's looking less and less likely that he gonna get his money. I mean, the bank account balance went from 10 million to 2,000. Now again, you would think that somebody who have financial managers and I mean to manage that kind of money, even 10 million is a lot to manage. But if you have 100 million in a portfolio and in several different countries, I'm sure you need professionals who managing this thing. But I want to know like what people will do. What will your professionals do? If you have 10 million in accounts and a day you check it, if you check it every minute and then the next minute you see it at 2,000, when your money gets swiped, it's swiped. It's just so surprising that the institution itself that this money isn't could allow an employee to do anything like this. So 30 people, if Bolt is one of your 30 people, that means they pick the people with the highest net worth or the highest balances to do this, which is they will get the most money, I suppose. And these things not insured. First, all they're not protected from this type of fraud. Is it that is so? How do you know is my money he take? Because if all of we had 10 million a piece, right? I mean, the bank have the money somewhere, and it's digital transactions we're talking about. How you move 9 point something million in digital money, and if you move it, how you know it's mine? Is it that both of them sign something and get this man permission to do something that they shouldn't have done? Or is the institution at fault? And if it's digital and the institution at fault, how the person get to be cash? How they get to be transferred somewhere? There must be a trail. He couldn't walk out with that amount of money in cash. So where the trail went to? How it is they moved the 9 million from one institution to the next? You must see where it went. And then where's the plan from there? It seems as though, I don't know what kind of fly-by-night organization is this. That them men put the money in, but it's pretty sad. So I'm hoping that I saw Baby Sham come out and make an appeal. And I'm sure, having seen him do this, more and more artists will come out and talk about it. But money and things, but I remember being in Jamaica, right? And this is why, for me, and I'm not giving anybody any advice, I don't know enough about finance. When I need to know anything about finance, I call Osman Prevad, Britt Nixon, and Nick Dean. That's my go-to. I don't know enough. But I can tell you that my ignorance will keep me away from things like, what do you think name? TRX, FTX, whatever it name. I don't want. And Bitcoin or whatever I don't want. I don't care. It could be doing how good. Let me have $100 in my account, and every time I look, I see the same 100. I went through enough financially already. I can't deal with them things. Let them fellas and them who bright, let them go and invest in them things. But I remember as a fella, I was 26 years old, and we had opened a branch in Jamaica, so I'd moved there, and we, doing business there. And one of the first people I get to know is a taxi driver. Salute my boy Ashton. That's my guy. And listen, one of the most patient old men in Africa. I don't know Jamaica, just going from place to place and getting everything organized for the company. From clearing things on the port to going downtown to sort out tax office and NIS and everything for the company I had to do. So at them days, Ashton picking me up about after 6 in the morning, and I ain't reaching home till after 8, 9, 10 in the night. Every day. And within, I mean, that's my closest thing to a friend at the time because he's my driver and we going everywhere. I eating all my meals with him every day and thing. And eventually, like he looked like he see a lot hard time. So he tell me he want a little advance. He looking for some money and thing. But no, he told me outright he want to invest. Come in to think about it. So you had to picture Ashton, right? Ashton's a dark fellow, older man. Could be in his 60s. You know what I mean? Whatever dental work he do, some of it missing, like dentists keep a few, you know what I mean? You understand the kind of person I'm talking about. But very, very religious. So when Ashton dropped me on the port to see about thing, I on the port for 2-3 hours. All he doing is sitting down there, he either sleeping or reading the Bible. That's the kind of fella he was. Nice person to talk to. I could ask him anything, you know? He was just a gentle, gentle soul. So when he approached me about this thing for the money, I had to hear him out. And what he was telling me was he wants about 30,000 borrow. 30,000 is like 2,000 something TT, right? And he wants to invest it. But he's seeing me as a business person. As young as I was, he seen me as a business person who might know something. You know what I mean? I know nothing up to know. But I say, well, I say, Ashton, where's the investment? Where does he want to invest? And he tell me he investing in this thing where you're getting 10% interest every month. So, I mean, my little bit of knowledge, I don't know much, but I was telling him, I said, brother, you're not getting 10% interest for the year nowhere. I said, so 10% a month, that's not. So I studying now. How am I going to, as good as the rapport we have, I trying to figure out, oh God, boy, how I go explain compound interest to Ashton? I said, boy, this is a task. We go have a task on me hand here because I don't know what I could put together explanation of compound. I tell myself it had to be, even if it's 10%, it must be 10% annually compounded monthly. So I saying, but how I go explain to this man what is compound interest? And then he keeps saying, nah, you don't understand what I'm saying. Yeah, he had a nice little way he used to say, you know, when you're talking, you say, he used to say, eem, eem, eem. You don't get me, you don't get me. And boy, the man say you go bring a statement to show me the next day. There's somebody's statement he have, right? There's a woman who borrow money. As he borrow 400,000-500,000 to invest in this thing. And he's showing me this statement now. And let me tell you what this statement reading, right? The statement saying January, the balance is 400,000. On the 1st of February, 10% interest applied, 40,000. Reinvested. So your new balance, 440,000. Beginning of March now, the thing saying 10%. Again, 44,000. New reinvested. New amount, 384 or 484,000. I say, but what? Yeah, nah, I feeling like it's madness I watching. I want to tell you, I not looking at no little crayon writing out thing on an envelope and I'm talking about the same kind of envelope with a window and thing you just get from your favorite bank with little perforated paper and official thing I watching. You know? 10%, 10%, 10%. Every month this thing is 10%. So if you invest 400,000 this month, before the year done, you double your money already. And that's why I'm watching a statement saying, and I say, Ashton, don't put your money in this. Do not. I said, this is a terrible idea. This is going to bust and somebody going to jail. This is not real. And I tell him, I say, boy, girl, and you know money to pay in that. He say, well, he will go in the bank. Boy, I beg that man. I say, Ashton, don't go in the bank. Don't do yourself. That is a nice man. Don't go and put yourself in debt now for a company that's going to crash or money go and run with your money. And the name of that company was Cash Plus. There are two of them. You go and Google Olins and Cash Plus in Jamaica. You'll see it. I mean, it benefits us because I think when the second time I went back to Jamaica to look for office, we end up getting the space where Olins used to be and we operate from there. And that was a good thing they clear out, but it was bad. There's a lot of people that lost their money. Like, you know, remember the whole DSS thing where people believe that you could pay 9,000 and get 81,000 back, and the people selling you this idea like that is what Chinese people get rich and that is all that garbage mentality is what to me is the same as saying the mafia fighting me down and these kind of boogeyman syndrome. So if somebody doing good is the boogeyman, it's the Illuminati, it's something caused them. It's not them work hard. And to me, if you anytime you pick up that mentality, then you believe that you can work hard and get where it is too. But this SSL situation both remind me too much of Olins and Cash Plus, where you gone from $10 million in our account to 2,000, and then is a wrap for you. Sorry for the brother. I hope somebody had to intervene. According to Baby Sham, the Prime Minister and them had to get involved. Bolt do so much for the country. Somebody had to sort out Bolt, man. And I hope he money strong enough. I hope that net that 100 million. I hope he have good money. Even if we must never live to see Bolt suffer. You know what I mean? And talking about suffer, Angus Eve says Trinidad and Tobago shrinking football talent pool. Angus are very worried. I find Angus only preparing me for when we ain't make no World Cup in them. English League One defender Ryan Innes of Charlton Athletic is one of several European-based players who have impressed Trinidad and Tobago men's football coach Angus Eve, but who did not meet the legal requirements to earn a national call-up. Also, the headline read, Trinidad and Tobago law shrinking the talent pool. He said this is because whatever the law is, a person shall not become a citizen of TNT if at the time of his birth neither of his parents is a Trinidad. So Angus, how is that Trinidad exactly? This law, Soca Warriors head coach Angus said, is detrimental and hampering the expansion of Trinidad and Tobago football and its player pool while nations capitalize on available players and move forward. He said the majority of Caribbean territories can invite players whose grandparents have grandparents, okay, got you, to represent. Well, Trinidad only changed that law one time now. Why is it, wherever it is Angus need, you know? I find we playing with this. Because I also saw him say in an article that we can't be serious about qualifying for the World Cup if we are no domestic league. This is a good time for us to just give this man whatever he need now. Let me go and enjoy this World Cup in peace. But I'll keep following up on Angus. Only have 4 years ahead. I'm talking about Soca Warriors because we inside. But before I go, I want to leave all you with what I think is the biggest song for the year, right? Now, I don't think anybody else will agree with me on this, right? Because the Bunji is clearly the front runner for the if you want to say groovy and power, right? Which I don't like too much, but Bunji clearly have that power part lock. And lyrical in the groove, that look back is a bad song. But the more I listen to this particular song, is the better it sound, right? And if you don't watch this song very carefully, this is going to be the runaway song of the season. This is Nyla Blackman and Skinny Fabulous.
And I've been waiting. Call me stubborn, but I can get over it. You left and never say goodbye. Those tears I cried, no, I can get over it.
So don't you ever let me down again. Cause I'm depending on you, so you better come through this time. Please hear my cry, and if I ever let you down, my friend, it was a misunderstanding. So if I took you for granted, then I promise from today I go jump like I never jump, wave like I never wave, wine like I never wine before, just to show you I'm sorry, and I need you back in my life. Look at people by the truck, emotions running high, we end up in the sky, tears running down we high. Can't you tell that we sorry, and we need you back in we life. And if I come back home, to me, come home to me, come home to me. It's no place like you. Home to me, come home to me, come home to me. This is my apology. Follow me, come and see what you mean to Halloween. You're a treasure in my eyes, the greatest pleasure in my life. Whoa. 'Cause when you left it bother me, honestly, how it is, home is where the heart should be. Pretty feathers in disguise, back together we will rise. Whoa. So don't you ever
Let me down again.
Cause I'm depending on you, so you better come through this time. Please hear my cry, and if I ever let you down, my friend, it was a misunderstanding. So if I took you for granted, then I promise from today I go jump like I never jump, wave like I never wave, wine like I never wine before, just to show you I'm sorry, and I need you back in my life. Look at people by the truck, emotions running high, we end up in the sky, tears running down we high. Can't you tell that we sorry, and we need you back in we life. And if I come back home,
The man say Carnival come back home, you know. You see this? If they don't watch this song careful, it creep up on them and is a road march contender early, you know. It's not too much road march contenders come out in January, you know. But this is one of the front runners. If you ain't believe me yet, you could believe eventually. But listen, the numbers high. Only take care of yourself. As the people used to say back in the day, you know what I mean? Long time I hear them
Wash
say
your
it, you know.
hands, wear your distance, and wash your mouth.
Yeah, exactly. You know what I mean? So take care of yourself. Let me make sure that we stay clear. Let we don't go back into no lockdowns. Let we just keep this thing good and safe. And collect all your snails safely for the $5. As I say, you see that snail collection? As with everything else in Trinidad, they go and rack it in there. Man go start to inject snail with lead so that they could get the amount of weight there to get. You know, it's Trini still. But I saw an article where a man gets sick trying to collect these snails and things. Get the people the right information on how to collect snail so that you could do this thing safely. But I go talk to you next week again.